From NJPBS Studios, this is NJ Spotlight News with Brianna Venozzi.
Hello, and thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Joanna Gagis, in for Brianna Venozzi. A few stories we'll get into later in the broadcast. As the funding freeze for the Gateway project continues, we get a first-hand look at one of the empty work sites. And if you're a senior struggling to pay your property taxes, you may qualify for Stay NJ, a state rebate program meant to keep you in your home and in the state. We'll get you all the details. And later, meet a powerhouse hockey player in the Women's League who's inspiring other girls to get out on the ice. But first, a few of our top headlines. Finally, some good news for your energy bill. The Board of Public Utilities announced today that electricity rates for residents and small to medium-sized businesses will stay relatively flat. Those results come from the latest annual auction that sets electricity rates for the 4 major distributors. This year, it's a split decision in the results, but mostly good news. The biggest decrease, PSE&G customers will see their rates go down by about $3 a month. Rockland down by about $1. Atlantic City Electric will see an increase of about 22 cents. And the steepest increase, $2.23 for JCP&L customers. BPU President Christine Gould-Sadovi acknowledged during the board meeting today that, quote, even a small increase can be meaningful for customers, so we're going to do everything we can to ensure we're keeping costs down in accordance with Governor Sherrill's executive orders. These rates will go into effect on June 1st. Meanwhile, environmental advocates also addressed energy issues today during an event with some lawmakers outside the State House in Trenton, where they outlined a number of priorities for this new legislative session. Now, led by the League of Conservation Voters, they detailed 4 legislative actions they say will protect communities and natural resources. One would boost clean energy production in the state and hold data centers financially responsible for their energy use as AI puts new strains on the electricity grid. Another would preserve Liberty State Park as a public open space and prevent commercial development on it. They also want to strengthen voting rights, which advocates say is a critical piece to ensuring vulnerable communities have a voice in the decisions that impact them. And a 4th priority is a measure to protect drinking water from pollutants like lead, copper, and forever chemicals. This all comes as the Trump administration is rolling back federal environmental protections. Today, the president announced the EPA is rescinding its own 2009 finding that greenhouse gases contribute to the warming climate and harm public health. That determination is known as the endangerment finding, and it's allowed the EPA to regulate emissions from cars, power plants, and other sources, which it now will no longer be able to do. After a years-long legal fight, New Jersey's gun laws are back in court, as the Third Circuit Court of Appeals heard another challenge to the state's concealed carry gun law on Wednesday. Now, in 2022, New Jersey lawmakers barred firearms from about 25, quote, sensitive places, including churches, hospitals, transit hubs, museums, zoos, and more. Well, attorneys for the gun owners say the law essentially limits their Second Amendment rights by preventing them from carrying their weapons nearly everywhere. The case came before a 3-judge panel in December that sided with the state in a split decision. But the dissenting judge, who was a Trump appointee, demanded the case be heard by the full panel of 14 judges in the appeals court. That case is now ongoing, but no decision is expected for several months. Coming up, 4 abandoned Gateway Tunnel construction sites are sitting vacant in the cold as the federal funds remain frozen. We'll get a look inside one of those sites. That's next.
Major funding for NJ Spotlight News is provided in part by NJM Insurance Group, serving the insurance needs of residents and businesses for more than 100 years.
Well, nearly 1,000 union workers are out of a job this week as the legal battles over Gateway Tunnel funding play out in court. The project came to a halt just under a week ago after the funds ran completely dry. Only one of the 5 construction sites is still running. Today, Raven Santana visited one of the shuttered sites where machinery was left behind with no promise of returning to use anytime soon. Here's that story.
A construction site is noisy, is muddy, there's always machinery around, there's drilling, there's noise. We actually had blasting here to remove some of the rock. It is spooky silent.
That silence now defines 1801 Tennelly Avenue in North Bergen, once filled with heavy equipment and hard hats. The site is part of the $16 billion Gateway Tunnel project, designed to build new rail tunnels under the Hudson River and replace a century-old link crippled by age and corrosion.
It will take time and a lot of skilled workers to put it together.
But time and money have run out. The Trump administration paused funding for the project in October, and by February 6th, the commission said it was out of cash. Construction at 4 sites on both sides of the river has halted, and more than 1,000 workers have been laid off. The commission sued the federal government, and New Jersey and New York filed their own lawsuits as well, alleging political retribution. A federal judge ordered the release of funds already approved by Congress, but the Trump administration appealed. For now, the money remains frozen as a federal appeals court considers the case.
Litigation was a last resort for us. It was not a decision that we took lightly, but our commitment really is to this project, to the economy, to the workers, and to the riders who've been waiting so long for reliable transportation.
I toured the site with project leaders of GDC, or the Gateway Development Commission, the bi-state agency leading construction of a new Hudson River rail tunnel while rehabilitating the aging North River tunnels.
We have 2 tunnel boring machines that were custom built just for these conditions.
They say once operational, trains would run beneath Tunnelly Avenue while a newly built bridge keeps traffic moving above, minimizing long-term disruption for drivers and commuters. But for now, work has stopped.
The longer this goes on, we're going to start to lose talent. We're going to start to lose really specialized workers that we need for this project. That kind of talent is going to go elsewhere. They're going to find other opportunities. People can only wait so long, and it's going to take, it will take a while to get this back up and running.
Some tunnel boring machine components are already on site, ready for assembly, part of a milestone that was supposed to begin this spring.
Behind us here is the cutter head for the tunnel boring machine, and it was delivered recently. It is the head of a 500-foot long machine that will cut through the Palisades, which is a rock mountain that will be one portion of the Hudson Tunnel project.
Behind me, you can see that launch site where tunnel boring machines were set to get to work but have since stopped. And Stray says each day this project is paused, more time is lost getting that equipment back up and running.
It takes time. This is a very sequenced operation to meet an aggressive overall schedule to get this done by 2035. And each part is very well connected to the other one. So the momentum of awarding contracts and building is a very coordinated effort. And yeah, it's stopping the construction is very impactful, and it will take a lot of work and a lot of coordination to get started again, and it won't be easy.
We had every intention of launching tunnel boring through the Palisades in the spring, and right now that work is on hold, and that's a huge milestone for us. It's the start of tunnel boring, building the first mile of the tunnel right here in New Jersey.
At a rally this week, Governor Sherrill joined labor leaders and union workers, warning the funding freeze could ripple across the Northeast Corridor, one of the busiest rail lines in the country.
Release the funds now! Release the funds now!
That's what the president doesn't seem to get. That there are working men and women feeding their families on this job, and every day that goes by that he doesn't release the funds is a day that our families are in trouble. So that president needs to release the funds.
If the appeals court overturns the lower court's ruling, delays could deepen, pushing timelines and costs even higher on one of the nation's largest infrastructure projects. For now, the Gateway Tunnel's fate rests in a federal courtroom. For NJ Spotlight News, I'm Raven Santana.
We often call them snowbirds, seniors who like to escape to warmer weather and cheaper property taxes in other states as they age. Well, there's a tax relief program in New Jersey called Stay NJ that's meant to help keep those seniors in their homes in the state. But how do you know if you qualify, and what steps do you need to take to apply? Our budget and finance writer, John Reitmeyer, has the answers as part of our Under the Dome series. John, so great to talk to you. First, let's just start with who does qualify for the Stay NJ program.
Well, you have to have, it's great to be with you as well. You have to have a primary residence in New Jersey, and you have to be 65 and older. And you also have to earn up to $500,000 in annual income. And so if you meet those eligibility requirements, there's some other technicalities, but generally it would be in your interest to fill out an application for the next round of these benefits, again, which are called Stay NJ.
The amount that you can qualify for depends on a number of other factors, right, including what other state aid you receive. So how do you know, how can someone calculate that, and how do they know how much they can qualify for?
Yeah, it's a good question. And although this all seems a little complicated, and it is, it's probably worth your time because you can get a decent amount of money back for a number of the people who are eligible. And so there are two other programs. One of them is called Senior Freeze, and the other is called Anchor, that the state administers for property tax relief. And what this Stay NJ program does is the promise is that it can cut your property tax bill, your annual bill, in half. Now, there are a few caveats to that because the limit on the bill is even if your bill's above $13,000 and the average bill in New Jersey is over $10,500, even if your bill's over $13,000, that's the most you'll get a benefit calculated off of in terms of using that as the basis. And then in turn, the maximum amount you could get back would be $6,500. So still pretty big numbers relative to what a lot of seniors pay in property taxes in New Jersey. And then they'll look at whether you're eligible for the other two programs, Anchor and Senior Freeze, and how much you get back from those programs already. And if you're not already getting half of your property tax bill cut in half from Senior and Anchor, then you can get that amount back from Stay NJ in quarterly installments, so a little different process than what the other programs use.
Yeah.
And subject to those caps that I previously brought up.
So if you're a senior and you want to apply, is there an order in which you should apply? Do you start with Anchor? Do you start with Stay NJ? Does it matter?
So the one thing that started last year and is again going to be the case is there's a combined application now. So it used to be that you would have to apply individually for different programs. And a lot of seniors complained because the applications were different, the timing was different, the questions were confusing. There was an effort under former Governor Phil Murphy and lawmakers to consolidate all of this and hopefully make it a little bit more easy to understand for applicants. And so now there's a form, it's called PAS-1, and what you can do is fill that application out, and it basically applies you for all three of the programs if you're eligible. So you'll fill out one application, and those applications are being distributed right now, or they're also available online. You fill out one application, and then it will determine if you're eligible for any of the three programs or for all of the three programs. That will all depend on where you live, how much you earn, and some of the other technical factors.
Yeah. Let me ask you this. Republicans have been critical of some of these property tax rebate programs because they say there needs to be an overhaul of the system completely. And so we shouldn't be giving this, quote unquote, relief on the back end. I know this is a big question, but given how much the state is giving out in property tax relief, does it make sense to just cut it off of the front end rather than do this pay it and we pay you back type of program?
Well, the answer to that question is the property taxes are levied at the local level in New Jersey. And so these are bills that you're submitting to pay for local services like K through 12 public schools, police departments, and fire departments, people who who plow the snow from your roads in the wintertime. All of these are local services. The state takes money that's collected from income taxes and creates programs and funds different, essentially rebates to individual qualified taxpayers to sort of offset that local burden. Now, the state could give more money directly to school districts, which it's been trying to do more of in recent years,
and we know that
more money.
We know school districts take up 60% usually on average of those property taxes, right?
Yeah, it depends on the individual, but it's generally more than 50% of the average bill in New Jersey, which now totals $10,570, generally goes to your K through 12 public school, although it depends on the taxpayer and the town for the specific amount. But the state's been trying to get more money to schools not so much to municipalities and county governments, which are also the spending that they do on an annual basis is also accounted for in your local property tax bill. So it's a little bit difficult for the state to come in and directly offset costs, because each municipality, and we have hundreds of them in New Jersey, has different levels of services.
Right.
You know, some do trash pickup, some don't, and so this
Some
is
share services, some
system
don't.
Correct. This is the system that's been created to sort of offset our very high property tax bills in New Jersey. Certainly, there are arguments to be made about finding ways to lower those bills themselves, which do form the basis for a lot of these relief programs.
Yeah.
But that's a whole other conversation, because that goes into exactly, we have a lot of municipalities and school districts, they could consolidate, and it becomes a much more complicated conversation for sure.
Well, Governor Sherrill did say when she was on the campaign trail that consolidating services was going to be a priority for her. Let me ask you this in the short time that we have left. She has a new acting treasurer, Aaron Binder, who came in and said, look, we are dealing with a deficit in the billions. Do you anticipate that Governor Sherrill is going to have to take out that red pen and start slashing services and programs that the state is offering right now to get out of that deficit?
There's certainly been talk about spending cuts, and I don't think that the new governor is very interested in tax increases. There is a gap. We don't have a deficit in New Jersey because there's a really robust budget surplus right now of nearly $7 billion. That said, the state collects about $1 billion less than it's currently spending. And so they've been dipping in recent years to the surplus and other sources of funding to bridge that gap. But those types of options are becoming much more limited, which is why we've started to hear talk about spending cuts when it comes to the next budget that's going to be up for discussion in really just a matter of weeks now.
Yeah, we are going to be talking all about the budget, I'm sure, as we get closer to that early March date. But John Reitmeyer, thank you so much for the insight.
You're welcome.
Under the Dome is made possible in part by the Corporation for Public Broadcasting, a private corporation funded by the American people.
She's a fierce forward on the ice. Off the ice, she's an avid ambassador for young girls looking to play hockey. Her name is Elle Hartje, and she plays for the Professional Women's Hockey League on the New York Sirens, which happens to play their games right here at the Prudential Center in Newark. I had the privilege of speaking with Elle this week about her passion for hockey and for inspiring the next generation of players, and her take on watching several of her teammates compete in the Winter Olympics. Here's our conversation. Elle, so great to have you with us. Thanks so much for coming in. Wasn't too far from where you practice, right?
Easy commute for me.
Yeah, for sure. It's walking commute. We love that in New Jersey. We're going to get into how you got into hockey in just a minute. But first, I want to ask you, what does it feel like to be the first female ambassador for the nonprofit Hockey in New Jersey?
I mean, I'm so excited that it was finally announced. It's been something that's been in the works kind of all year. My first year for the Sirens was last year. And going into the off season, I knew I just wanted to get more involved in the community, and I had met the higher ups at Hockey New Jersey, and I knew that that was sort of what I wanted to throw all of my weight behind. So I'm happy that it's finally official and announced, and thank you for having me.
What is Hockey in New Jersey, and why is an organization like that important?
It's a nonprofit organization that runs out of the New Jersey area. They have rinks and kids from all over, but they are focused on making hockey accessible for people of all backgrounds. So free coaching, free ice time, free gear. It's really just making hockey more accessible because it is historically such an expensive sport, and they recognize how much hockey can give back to a kid. And I just think their mission is amazing.
And of course, we're living in a time where if you get into youth sports and if you take it seriously, you have to put in the time, be on the club teams, be on the travel teams. That can add up, right? A lot of folks can't afford that.
Yes, I think there's always been a barrier to entry when it comes to hockey, and I was lucky enough that my family could support me in my dreams, but there are so many kids who couldn't. I mean, a pair of skates nowadays can go for $1,000. A stick is $200. So all of those things really add up. Ice time, because you're not able to just go to a court outside or go to the park. You need that accessibility to ice, coaching. It's just, it all really adds up.
You said your family has supported you. I want to understand how you first got into this sport and when you knew it was going to be a real thing for you.
I got into the sport before I really even knew what I was doing. My dad was a professional hockey player, and I have 3 siblings, so all 4 of us started on skates from basically the minute that we could walk, and it's sort of been a love story ever since. I have always been obsessed with the game, so I really owe it all to my family and my parents for supporting me throughout the years and driving me to God knows where.
Yeah, a lot of travel with hockey. I've seen you say that you thought you'd be a goalie, but your dad had other plans. How did that play out?
Yes, I think that when you're a kid, there's something really romantic about being a goalie and stopping the puck and being that person in net. And my dad, you know, supported me in that, but I think he slowly phased me out before I really realized what was happening. He would start giving me less and less games because he's always been my coach, and he decided what games I was going to be a goalie and what games I was going to play out. And so before I knew it, I was like, I've only played a couple games this year, and then that was sort of that. But I'm glad he made that decision for me.
But he pushed you to be a forward.
Yes, he was always in the mindset that you should know how to play all positions. So I did play D for a bit. I had played center, wing, everything, and I think that that has really translated to the pro level. It's important to understand all aspects of the game, but at the end of the day, he did end up having me be a center, which is funny because he had all of my siblings be D, so
wow.
I don't know.
So he orchestrated all of this for you.
Yeah, he did. He was the puppet master.
Seems like he did a pretty good job. You have been with the New York Sirens, who I might add practice right here in New Jersey.
Yes.
Not the first team to play here, but take New York's name. We'll let that go. But what's it been like playing in the Professional Women's Hockey League, playing for the Sirens?
Amazing. Short answer. Long answer. Since I started playing when I was 2, there wasn't really anything to look up to besides the Olympics. There was no pro league that was sustainable to living your life. I think there were some other leagues over the years where you would have to have another job. So it really is unbelievable that I'm sitting here with you now and able to call this my career. And it's my only career. It's what I do. In the off season, I train, I work out, practice, make sure that I'm doing everything I can to come back ready. And I think we owe that all to the girls and women who came before us and really were pioneers for this. And I think that's why it's so important for me to do what I can to give back and get more girls involved and really carry this momentum forward.
Yeah, that's beautiful. We are talking at a time when some of your teammates are playing right now for the Winter Olympics, not representing Team USA, but that's okay. They're representing a lot of other countries. What's it been like for you to watch them go out and play on this global stage?
I love watching them out there. It's really the best of the best are competing, and it's what we all dream about. My roommate actually is in Milan right now playing for Team Canada, so we're talking lots, and it's a dream come true for her, I know. So I just love being able to watch her and support her and know that she's living out her dreams.
Do you have any Olympic aspirations yourself?
Yeah, I think that every single person you ask would probably give the same answer, but I think that that's the dream. It's the highest stage, and the Olympics are something that we've been watching since we were kids. I think I mentioned that. There was no professional league to watch, so for us especially, it was the Olympics. That was the pinnacle, so yeah, hopefully.
And when you watch the girls play for the teams, how much do you think, you said that it inspired you as a young kid, how much do you think it's inspiring young girls, and where do you see this league going? Where do you see women's hockey going, even in just the next 5 years?
I think the growth of women's hockey has been exponential, as opposed to other sports maybe that have started even a long time before. Like, this has happened really quickly. So I think watching the Olympics is just an extension now of this league, whereas in the past it was, if you're a young girl, you're waiting 4 years to watch your role models play on TV and in the biggest stages. So I think the women who fought to have this league, the Professional Women's Hockey League, really had that in mind. They wanted it to be every year, every night they could turn on the TV and see their role models play. And so the Olympics is amazing, and I think it's obviously still the best of the top, but having this league now, I think, is just, for young girls, what we needed.
Yeah, and just a few seconds left. Off the ice, you like to have a little fun with fashion. We got to point out your sparkly jeans here. They're so fabulous. Fashion's fun too, huh?
Yes, I love the walk-ins. I don't know if you've seen those, but I just love to experiment with fashion, especially because on the ice, you know, there's not as much time to express yourself.
For sure. Well, thank you for coming here, expressing your love for hockey, sharing it with others. Elle Hartje, great to talk to you.
Great to talk to you too. Thank you.
That's going to do it for us tonight. I'm Joanna Gagis. For the entire team here at NJ Spotlight News, thanks for being with us. We will see you right back here tomorrow.
New Jersey Education Association, making public schools great for every child. And RWJ Barnabas Health. Let's be healthy together.
NJM Insurance Group has been part of New Jersey for over a century. We support our communities through NJM's corporate giving program, supporting arts and culture-related and nonprofit organizations that serve to improve the lives of children, rebuild communities, and help to create a new generation of safe drivers. We're proud to be part of New Jersey. NJM, we've got New Jersey covered.
Have some water. Look at these kids. How are you? What do you see? I see myself. I became an ESL teacher to give my students what I wanted when I came to this country. The opportunity to learn, to dream, to achieve, a chance to belong and to be an American. My name is Julia Toriani Crompton, and I'm proud to be an NJEA member.